We are so happy to have Dr. Willard Harley and his wife Joyce is with us for this episode. And so we are super excited. We get to do couples things, guys. It's like a double date.
Yes, there we go. Where are we going to eat, right?
Yeah, right.
Hey, we're not really logistically too far from each other, so we could make
No.
that happen if we wanted
Actually, that might be a good idea.
Yeah.
to. I would love that. We
Yeah.
would. Yeah, so fun enough. They are in White Bear Lake, right? Minnesota. And Darren and I live in Maple Grove, Minnesota. So we are just in suburbs, if you will, of
We're across the Twin Cities from each other.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
we love coming to your end of town.
Yep.
Great restaurants out there.
We
so
do.
that's where we'll meet, right? Okay,
Yeah.
we'll meet out there. Okay.
Come to our place. Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you guys again for coming on with us. We are super excited. This is Women's Hot Topics with Shug Burry, but we are Darren and Jill Hunt, and we're doing a follow-up from a show that we did previously. For those of you who don't know, Shug had asked us to do a show back, I don't know, like 5 months ago, and it was on marriage. She asked us to do it on marriage, and Darren and I were both like, okay, we'll have a conversation. We're not experts or anything. And in that interview, Darren referenced the book, His Needs, Our Needs, because it is one that we have used for our entire marriage. We're grateful for that book, and we're grateful for you. And I know you've written many books since then, but that was kind of the book that started it all. And if you want to hear about that, you can watch just his sole interview. But right now we have Joyce, who has joined us. They've been married for 62 years, which is incredible. Thanks, you guys, for being with us today.
It's good to be with you. Yes.
Awesome. So Joyce, how has this book impacted your marriage? How long were you guys married when how long had you been married when this all came about?
Oh, that's a good question. You'll have to help me out, Bill. How?
14 years.
We were 14 years.
Yeah.
We were married for 14 years when the book came out.
Yeah.
Boy, that seems hard to believe. Yes. That's a surprise to me. I would have said more into the 20s. That's interesting. Yeah. So I'm glad we're having this interview. I'm finding out some things.
There you go. I'm sorry, 24 years.
Okay. See, notice how I was going to go along with
I was saying to myself, that's
marriage advice right there.
Yeah, 24.
Well, he's the numbers person. I'm the idea person. So numbers,
so it had been a while. Yeah.
My brain self-corrects.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So there you go, 27 years. Yeah.
So you guys had quite a bit of marriage experience before you even published this book then.
Right.
Okay.
And we were practicing the ideas, I think, not knowing they had titles to these ideas. Yeah. Before even Bill began writing the book. Yes.
Yeah, the material that came from that book came in 1976, which would have been 14 years. So the main ideas were already in place when we were married for 14 years, but it didn't get published until 24 years.
Yeah. So Joyce, how has that impacted your life? Like, how did that feel to you?
Well, it didn't change anything because we were already practicing these things, and they just didn't have titles like meeting each other's needs and avoiding the love busters and the policy of joint agreement, making your decisions together where you're both happy with the outcome. So these things were in place, and we were automatically doing these things, and now they had a title.
And you were just sharing them with the world.
Basically
fine-tuning them as well. Yes.
The question is, what are we doing that works so well? And a lot of men would tell me, well, you married Joyce. That was the secret.
That's sweet.
But the question really was, are we doing something in our relationship that is a formula that other people can use? And it took a while for me to recognize that when I discovered what it was that made marriages work, turns out we were doing it.
Mm.
And I estimate that 20% of all marriages, without reading any books on marriage, have it figured out.
Mm.
And they have no trouble at all. They don't read books on marriage. They don't go to seminars. They have great marriages.
Mm-hmm.
And then another 20% struggle in their marriage. They go to a lot of seminars. Some of them help them. And 40% get divorced.
Mm-hmm.
That leaves 20% that, as it turns out, eventually are permanently separated but never get divorced.
Mm.
So we're looking at 20% of marriages that are really great, and it's those. I've written material to tell the other 80% how to have a marriage that 20% already have.
Mm.
Is really what it boils down to.
Yeah. But how it's affected our life, and I think that I have used it as a tool a great deal. First of all, we have been doing a lot of seminars, and we travel in the U.S. and outside of the U.S. and giving the seminars. And when I meet people, I'm very nosy, and I'll ask them, "So, are you married?" And if they say they are, then I'll say, "Well, you might be interested in knowing about my husband's a best-selling author, and check out our website." And I give them marriagebuilders.com, and they're always interested. It's so interesting.
Yeah.
And then the next thing I do, quite honestly, because we are Christians, I'll ask the person, "And what church are you attending?"
Right.
And so often, they say, "Well, I'm not really right now."
Mm.
And then I will recommend a church in our area or in their area. And I said, you really need to check this out for your sake, for your family's sake, and let's move on. So I have a two-prong approach. And then I talk about the relationship with the Lord, but I start them with church.
Right.
And so how it has affected our life, I'm kind of an ambassador for this.
Yeah.
And
That's cool.
Yeah, it's just an automatic, and I'm gregarious enough to inquire that people don't feel I know when they feel like I'm getting too close, that kind of, I know how to back off. Yeah.
Right.
Well, and you mentioned marriagebuilders.com, your website, and now you give away pretty much all of these concepts on your website. What was the decision behind just putting it all out there and not putting it behind order our book, watch this video, pay this money?
And we get that comment. I'll let Bill answer, but we get that comment a lot. It's all for free. What's the gimmick?
Because it's incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah. So you want to explain why?
Yeah, basically, I mentioned to you earlier when we were doing the broadcast with just me that I started mental health clinics in Minnesota, and I also had chemical dependency programs. I had 34 altogether, combinations of both. And I had 200 counselors. It was the largest network of mental health clinics in Minnesota. And I just got burned out. I was driving. I know this state really well. I've driven everywhere, because we've had little clinics here and there and everywhere. And I would go there, and it just consumed me to such a point that I gave it up. So in 1993, I let my last clinic go. And at that point, I thought, what do I do now? Well, I have been involved in the internet forever, and computers. In my college years, I studied artificial intelligence back then when nobody else was doing it. And so I said, I think I'll start a website. And so in 1995, I started working on Marriage Builders, and in 1996, it was launched. My son and I had worked together on it. I wrote almost all the material in 6 months. In order to get attention with Google, you got to be putting new material up all the time. And I don't do that well. My attitude is that material is as good as anything I could write now. And so we don't get high on the recommend. If you put in marriage, we're buried way out in 56 pages, but I wrote most of that material in 1996. And then from that, we developed into the seminar programs that we conducted. Joyce and I did our radio show after that. We're still doing it, by the way. So I went from the mental health clinic idea where people come to you to where I go to them. So all of my counseling now is essentially Zoom driven. I counsel all over the world. My son has counseled in all 50 states and in 40 different countries. And so we have a tremendous reach in terms of counseling, and the website Marriage Builders kind of helps us launch that part of our programs.
And I have to add that our daughter, Jennifer, is also involved in counseling. She's a PhD in psychology, and she's in the Philippines 6 months out of the year.
Wow.
Because of her husband's business. So she has Marriage Builders programs, 4 Gifts of Love programs is what she calls it, in the Philippine area. So she's spreading the word. What's good about the website, since you bring that up, is that many people just go to the website and they read the material on the website and they turn their marriage around.
Yeah.
They read it, they apply it, and that's all that's necessary.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, here is good food for you. Now, it's convincing people, first of all, that they need it, and then that they will be better off by eating this good food. But many people come already knowing they need it.
Yeah.
And when they come that way, it turns their marriage around.
Yeah.
Others, they need somebody to come alongside of them to keep them doing it. But the website serves its own purpose in so many ways.
Yeah.
As far as educating the public. Some use it as a refresher course. They feel like every year. In fact, we have a couple that every year, the website for sure they go to, but they read His Needs, Her Needs on New Year's Eve together.
Really?
That's a great idea.
And review the concepts and ask themselves, are we still doing this? And of course the spouse has to be the one telling the other spouse, yes, you're A+ in this, or I think we're slacking in that area, and we better start going back to that and working on it some more. So the website has been very, it's great that it's free, because everybody can come and benefit from it. So we're glad we're able to do that.
I have to tell you a story that was repeated a number of times over a period of my lifetime. When I had an office and people would come in, Joyce's picture was very prominent in the office. And they would say, "You're Joyce Harley's husband." Now, that is a testament to the fact that Joyce had an identity of her own in the Twin Cities. She did concerts everywhere. She was the head of Christian Women's Club. She worked in Bible Study Fellowship. She led women's Bible study groups.
Well, I was with KTI's radio.
And she was a radio personality. She worked with KTIS, with KKMS. She was on TV. She was on Channel 5.
Well, it doesn't matter. That's okay.
Anyway, Joyce.
I didn't brag about you, Joyce.
Joyce has a beautiful voice. Does concerts to this day.
Wow.
And so the interesting thing about a marriage like ours is that Joyce has talents that are expressed in ways separate from what we do with Marriage Builders. She has an identity of her own. And when she was doing more concerts than she is now, we used to have big sound equipment, heavy speakers. I was the guy that carried the speakers and set them up
And hoisted them up on the
and made sure that the sound was done properly.
Yeah.
Right.
And so when I'm doing a seminar, she's supporting me, and
And
when
the
she
MC.
does stuff, I support her.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
But
That's great.
there's a sense in which we do things together. I
Yeah.
do things separate. She does things separate.
Mhm.
And I think that is an important part of marriage itself,
Absolutely.
is that you don't, in marriage, you don't lose your identity.
Right.
Mhm.
What you gain is a relationship for life with another person who loves you more than life itself.
Yeah.
And I think that Joyce has been a minister. When we go out today, Joyce is recognized in shopping centers. I'm not.
On the front of the book. But interesting though, talking about our lives being so busy and involved. Before I accept something and before Bill accepts something, we confer with each other on the calendar.
Mhm.
And we say, does this work on your calendar? Does this work on your calendar? And if it doesn't, then we make adjustments with the person that has invited us.
Mhm.
And so we talked about the policy of joint agreement. Remember, that's the
Mhm.
Yeah.
third.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how do you feel about? And Bill says, I've been invited to go to Mexico to give a seminar. And how do you feel about that? And so we talk about it.
Right.
And we express our concerns, our excitement. And the same with anything I'm involved in. A worship team. I'm going to be on worship team this Sunday. It means an early morning. It
Yeah.
means rehearsal this week.
Right.
How does that work on your calendar?
Mhm.
So our lives are integrated.
Right,
We
right.
have very fulfilling lives, wonderful marriage, and fulfilling individual lives as well.
Right.
And then we blend it too. I mean, we have individual things that we do, and then we have blending. So
Mhm.
we have not lost our identity.
Yeah.
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 That's so important.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to couples that are getting married today?
Basically, people do come to me asking for advice,
It's a common question on the radio show. Yes.
and
Is
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
generally speaking, when they're asking for advice, there's usually something wrong with the relationship. You know, I know.
So maybe they want to know how to keep this going. In other words, we love what we have.
I
Mhm.
generally want to work
an
with
idea.
people that have already been married for a year,
Mhm.
Mhm.
because to some extent, most people marry with an idea that this is going to be easy stuff.
Mhm.
This is going to be fun, no problems of any kind. Donald McGavern was the head of Fuller School of World Missions when I was living in California. And I worked with the School of World Missions for a while, did some work with them. His policy was to not let anybody enter their School of World Missions until they had 4 years on the mission field. Then they could come in, because then they were ready to be trained. You know,
Yeah.
then they knew what the problems were, and he had the solutions. So to some extent, I look at couples today, and my basic argument is that any two people could have a great marriage if they love and care for each other as Christ loved the church. I mean,
Right.
it's that simple.
Mhm.
Now, the question is, you've chosen to be in love with each other because you've met each other. You've chosen to marry each other because you've met each other's emotional needs. But when you go into marriage, you have no idea what you're going to be experiencing.
Right.
Now, some people have had parents that have gotten divorced. That creates anxiety.
Yeah.
You know, so I know my parents loved each other when they were first married, but then they fell apart. So a couple whose parents divorced might come to me saying, we love each other, we want to marry each other, we don't want to have what happened to them happen to us.
Mm.
And so then I will go through the facts that what you have right now is magic. being in love is magic, and it makes everything so much easier. Don't lose the secret sauce that makes this thing work.
Right.
You know, and so then I will set them on a course of marriage where you'll do fine until you have a child. And when that child comes, everything changes. Can you remain in love after a child is born? The only way we're going to do that is to continue meeting each other's emotional needs after this person comes into your life that is going to dominate you. And then when you have two, and then you have three, and then you have four, and you're going to lose sight of each other. What most people don't realize is that divorce increases, the risk of divorce increases with the number of children you have. You know, you'd think it'd be the other way around. But basically, people that never have children, on average, do better than people that have had children when it comes to divorce.
Couples tend to put themselves off for the sake of the children.
Yeah.
And they'll say, we have just so many years with these precious little ones, and we want to make them the best persons that we can make them. So we will sacrifice our relationship. And when you think about it, you're sacrificing in a negative way for your children if you don't keep your marriage alive and well. And it's a testimony to your children to have that love still there. And, you know, our grandchildren will get pictures since we're great grandparents, right? So grandchildren are married and they have a picture of them kissing, and the children and the kids are going like this. You know? So, I mean, that's good.
Yeah.
Do that when you're in front of your kids. Make them go, oh, ugh, ick, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Mommy and Daddy are kissing again or hugging again or want to be left alone again. This is a testimony to your kids regarding a relationship. And you're not doing your children any favors by sacrificing your marriage for their raising.
Darren, you made the comment in the program that you had before with me that 1 year into your marriage, you got a copy of His Needs, Her Needs. That's the point at which I would like to introduce my concepts. Because I think that at that point you're ready for ideas. And I think that this is why premarital counseling is a great idea. I think people should have it, but they're not going to appreciate the best information that they can get until they've been faced with a few obstacles and a few problems that they hadn't anticipated.
However, we had one story where this couple, when they got married, the pastor, before they left for their honeymoon, gave them a copy of His Needs, Her Needs. And they just tucked it in their suitcase because it was a last minute gift, and they put it in the suitcase. They went on their honeymoon and they began to argue and fight. And they decided they're cutting the honeymoon short. They're getting in the car, going back, and maybe this marriage isn't going to work. And on the way back, they said, well, you know, Pastor gave us this book. Why don't we sort of look at it while we're traveling? And it saved their marriage.
Wow.
I get goosebumps when I hear that. But we hear testimonies like that all the time. And it's not the book, it's the content in there and understanding about that we both have needs. And we have to learn how to meet those needs, find out what they are, learn to meet them. And you meet it in a way that you enjoy. And that's important. You're not sacrificing. And that's an emphasis that I tend to make a lot, because we do hear the person says, well, my husband needs this or my wife needs this, and I do it because she wants it, but I don't really enjoy it myself. No, you have to do it in a way that you will enjoy it so you can sustain it your entire marriage. If you don't, you can't sustain it. And you're going to be bitter for sacrificing all this time.
I love what you said about, we were talking about kids, when kids come along and how it changes a marriage, but also just like you mentioned, obstacles, because when people first get married, you have no idea what is going to come your way, right? None of us do. And there can be there can be health issues. There can be, there's just a lot of different things that will happen during the longevity of a marriage. And so I think it's so important to sort of have that foundation. And then when things do come, you're not just completely, knocked down. We're solid. And so we can get through, because as we know, when hardships come, or when children come, or whatever, that people face, you're gonna fare better if you were stronger to begin with.
Well said.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's interesting how many adjustments have to be made in the first year of marriage.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of adjustments. You do it that way? You put your things away that way?
Yeah.
You don't put your things away?
Well, let me tell you, my husband.
We don't need to go into.
That's another show called Love Busters, right?
No, we always laugh because when we first got married, he had this thing called clothes purgatory, and you can explain what that is.
Well, you wear something once. It's not that dirty, but it's not clean enough to put with your clean clothes. So you got to have a purgatory, where it could be worn again, but you're not going to put it really clean. So.
You're very creative.
And I learned this, and I was like, "This is the first I'm ever hearing of this."
And you thought it was cute the first time, and then enough with the purgatory.
It's either clean or put in the dirty clothes. Well, you guys referenced your Marriage Builders website, so I want to say that again. It's marriagebuilders.com, correct?
Right.
And they have so much good stuff. I mean, it's incredible. I was on it before, we were getting ready for this interview. I was on it again this morning, and there's just so much. And like Darren said, he was actually the one, when we were kind of thinking through some of the stuff, he was like, "Honey, they give away so much content, like it's incredible." So, so definitely, if you're listening to this, go check that out, because it really is amazing, the information.
Yeah, one of the things you mentioned the pre-marriage counseling. There is a Q&A section on preparing for marriage. And in there, it talks about compatibility issues.
Okay.
And what the more compatible you are, the less effort it's going to be to make marriage deposits and avoid withdrawals. Yeah. If you have an area of incompatibility in your marriage, it's not that you shouldn't get married, but you're going to have a harder time coming to enthusiastic agreements about things. So I think that when people come to me for premarital counseling, I refer them to that section in the on the website. And as you said, if you go through all the sections that there are, we cover the waterfront. There's nothing there that you can think of that marriages haven't struggled with. And then, like you say, it's all free of charge, and many people, their marriages have been saved by simply reading what's on the website, as opposed to reading anything in a book.
And I've talked with many couples that, well, individuals, let's put it that way, that are not married, they're dating, and I refer them to the website because I said, you'll learn what love is and what love is not. And how to sustain that love.
I love that.
And how you can destroy the love. And many singles find that fascinating. They really want to know. And I said, then when you go on a date, I mean, not to scare the person, but after several dates, say, I saw this website and I really like what's on there, and refer the person there and see what their reaction is. So, early on, they say, that's balderdash, that's not how I want to live my life. Well, I think there'd be not a second date after that one. Yeah. So, or the third date or fourth date. In other words, you get to know the person by referring them to some place that you appreciate, and then see what their reaction is. Right. Another use for the website.
Yeah. Oh, I really love that.
Yeah.
I've got to go back to a question in the previous interview that Dr. Harley answered. And he had mentioned these concepts came about, 10 years, or looking into your marriage. You guys have been married 10 years at that time. and never had a fight. And then now it's been 52 more years.
Yeah.
But have you guys had a fight yet? And what do you say to those that say, you know, good marriage, you learn how to fight well?
I'll answer that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
It takes two to fight. It takes two to fight.
Mhm.
That answers it.
There you go.
I don't fight.
There you go. We had a similar experience.
We did.
Yeah, exactly. So you know what I'm talking about, Jill. Yes.
Oh
I
my
mean,
goodness.
I come up with a lot of things that if I was married to somebody else that wasn't a pacifist, we could probably get into it. But
Mhm.
then I would have to really change my ways.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I have the freedom to express how I feel, and I try to do it in a respectful way. Okay. Keep in mind, because Bill wants to know what I'm thinking. And
Right.
so I'm very free to let him know what I'm thinking. And I want him to know, I want to know what he's thinking as well. Okay. He doesn't share as much.
No,
Do you not
I
think?
would if you asked.
So we'll have a little time together after the show today.
Okay. When I was young, I had a terrible temper. I really did, and there were a lot of reasons for it. My mom and dad fought a lot, and I was little. I was the shortest kid in the class. People picked on me a lot, and I would fight back. I took lessons in fighting to try to keep people from picking on me. And by the time I was in high school, my temper was really out of hand, and I was really not controlling myself the way I should. And I really decided, I made the decision that I was not going to ever hurt Joyce. And I would say, I think that my learning to control my temper had more to do with caring for Joyce than it did about anybody else.
Mhm.
And I figured that if I bring a bad temper into my marriage, I'm going to be hurting the person I care about the most. And so I went to some trouble to actually learn how to not get angry.
Mhm.
And I studied some psychological material on the topic. I actually did some biofeedback. I learned how to calm myself down in the face of adversity. So when somebody is arguing with me, my blood pressure doesn't go up. I don't become stressed. I'm able to relax myself. And that has served me very well in life in general.
Mhm.
When people do things and say things that are offensive, I don't respond with anger.
Mhm.
And so I can pretty much control my temper and even my being irritated. I would say that it goes all the way to being irritated with people, largely because I didn't want to hurt Joyce.
Mm.
And I argue that any marriage can learn not to fight. You can learn not to fight ever. You learn never to make demands. You learn never to be disrespectful. You learn never to be angry. People can learn to do that.
Right.
And if they do, they avoid the worst love busters that there are in life.
Mhm.
But I would say that I dedicated my whole life to never having a fight with Joyce. I'm never going to fight with her, no matter what she does, no matter where she goes, no matter what she says. But on the other hand, it makes it easier for her to do the same thing for
Right.
me.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
That's-
It takes two to fight. Right.
It's very
Exactly.
true. Well, in our first year of marriage, I don't know if Darren wants to share this story, but we were upset about something, and his classic line that still to this day we laugh about is he said, what'd you say to me?
I'm a lover, not a fighter.
He said, I'm a
That's
lover,
what
not a
Joyce's-
fighter.
That's Joyce's dad's mantra.
Yeah, and you know what? That sent me through the roof.
Then he would add, us Swedes, we're lovers, not fighters. That's what he would say. But what's good is that if you can learn these things and not hurt your marriage
Exactly.
in the learning process.
Yeah.
In other words, catch it early.
Yeah.
Catch it early. I'm offended when you say it this way. I'm offended when you do. It hurts me when you do this.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to be open and honest. But notice how all the fingers are pointed at yourself.
Right.
Not you.
Right.
This is how I am feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the program is all about. It's what I am looking for in marriage, what hurts me in the marriage. And here I'm giving it to you because I trust you to do something about it.
Right.
And it works. Both parties are doing this with each other.
Absolutely.
And so that's being open and honest is very important. And definitely don't hide it and say, well, I'll learn to live with it. No, you won't learn to live with it.
That's right.
It will destroy the love and catch it before it erodes what should be the foundation of your relationship.
Yes. Yeah, that's one of the things I love the most is just, I mean, there's a lot of things, but how he sort of protects my feelings, I guess. I don't know how to say that, but it's you know, just because he knows me. And so he knows what I need, you know, and so,
And I would say the same thing about my wife.
Yeah, yeah. How long have you been married?
We just celebrated 30 years a week ago Tuesday, July 29th.
Happy anniversary and congratulations.
Yeah.
That's a biggie. Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got married at 10, so that's good.
Well, I was 5 and I had a little tiny wedding dress.
That's great. Well, thank you guys so much for being with us today. We so appreciate it. It's been really fun, and we will have to grab dinner.
Yeah.
Oh,
let's do it. Yeah.
Thank you for having us. And I know Bill was a treat, and thank you for inviting me to come along. Yeah. It was good to be a part of the program.
Oh, your sunshine, Joyce. Your sunshine. I love it.
We'll see you over dinner. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.